right to secure that data and that created work?
So a few thoughts about this. Number one, we think that people should be able to say, I don't want my personal data trained on. I think that's
right. That gets to a national privacy law, which many of us here on the dais are working toward getting something that we can use.
Yeah, I think strong privacy.
My time's expired. Let me yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we're keeping an eye on this and the various questions, but as we do, let's bring in our technology reporter, Shona McCallum, who we spoke to an hour or so ago, but it's been fascinating the last hour or so of testimony with some really frank accounts and answers there from those tech bosses. But interesting that the whole session started with Congress, with lawmakers being really open. They missed the boat when it came to social media and the controls. They don't want to repeat it with this, do they?
No, absolutely not. And that's something that Sam Altman has been really clear about. You know, he says we want to work with governments so that we avoid the same situations, because we know with social media, 10 years ago, that was coming out of the blocks, if you like. And then now we're grappling to try and, regulate social media and see if we can undo some of the harms that have already been caused. So with AI, they want to take a different approach. If you think about AI at the moment, it's really in the embryonic stages as to where this technology might go. He was talking about, solving climate change, curing cancer. Those are huge claims, and we're really at the very beginning of, ChatGPT, which came onto the market in November and has acted as a very advanced chatbot, but it's nowhere near the likes of curing cancer. And I think what was interesting when we heard from some of the senators really there at the beginning of this session, one of the senators had their voice which was generated by artificial intelligence and that had been written by ChatGPT. And he said, look, I didn't open my mouth there at all. And yet this technology was able to mimic him. And he said, look, that was kind of similar to some of the dangers and concerns that were raised. You can mimic, you can impersonate someone. How do we mitigate against that type of technology being used in a more sinister way? There was also the concerns around, how do we protect children from this technology? Can it, give teenagers advice about how to self-harm, for example, or lie to their parents? There were a lot of real questions affecting households up and down the country. We've done loads of stories about how ChatGPT has infiltrated education and how, medical services are now using it. This is a real question for a lot of industries, and it's interesting that the senators are now putting those questions towards Sam Altman, who is being very frank. We discussed before what his personality is like. He's someone that is willing to say, look, there are problems, I want to address them. He's been very calm, very measured. He's answered something. He's not had a grilling, I don't think. I think they've been treating him with quite a lot of grace so far, but he's had sensible questions and he's been giving sensible answers.
I mean, the list of concerns was extremely long. You've touched on some of them, but disinformation, jobs, elections, all of that. But in terms of solutions, we heard them say there were solutions. What do they think they are?
Well, to be honest, I think it's coming down to the crux of this question, which is regulation. We've seen, for example, Italy last month ban ChatGPT over the concerns about it. We've seen lots of governments, discuss how they're going to be regulating it in the future. We've got the EU looking at the AI Act. We've got the white paper here in Britain saying, how we are going to be dealing with it. In the US, they haven't really made any strict rules around AI at the moment. It's been a kind of soft approach, and I think regulations are going to be key in how to control this artificial intelligence in the future as it grows and evolves at such a rapid pace.